respect me, defend me with your lives and your fortunes. Never let my enemies tear me down from my lofty position, lest I never return. Keep alight the fires of patriotism, strive earnestly for the spirits of democracy. Worship God, and I shall remain the bulwark of peace and freedom for all mankind. I am your flag.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Good to see everybody here tonight. Start things off. As your district commissioner, I would like to introduce Josh Sykes as your new district roundtable commissioner.
Thank you, guys.
So, Josh, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank everybody here. I won't go into too much on that. So, I look forward to serving you in this position, and I think that we have a lot of great things, a lot of great scholars in our district, and I look forward to learning along with you from each other. So. Eric, did you have a chance to get the district council announcements?
One thing I just had wanted to touch on is a couple of upcoming events. If you have a council district calendar handy, feel free to open it. We have Klondike Derby next weekend in Camp Augustine, following weekend in Whispering Cedars. We have camp staff interviews on the 30th, correct? Oh, never mind, I don't know the date, so never mind. So those are already done. February, we have the Scout Sunday on February 3rd. And then Scouting Anniversary is on the 8th of February, but that whole week is Scout Week. And then we would like to invite all volunteers to come the February 2nd, starting at 9:30 a.m. We believe it's going to be at Holy Cross Lutheran Church, but we haven't confirmed that to our district annual planning meeting. That's where we're going to basically plan everything out for the next year and a half, basically through the end of 2014. So please feel free to come to that. Our roundtable for February has been moved from the 14th to the 21st because of Valentine's Day. We didn't figure out too many people were going to be here. And then our district recognition ceremony is scheduled for February 10th. That will be in Ravenna. More information will be out next week on that. And I think that's calendar-wise. Be looking for an email from me tonight about recharters not in, training not taken, all that kind of good stuff, so we can get some updates on that. That's all I had, Josh. Did you have anything else?
No, this was your moment to shine, and you've done great. Sorry?
Did you talk about February 2nd?
Yeah, yep.
Where is that?
Right now it's slated for Holy Cross Lutheran Church. We just haven't confirmed that with them, but that's the plan.
Which means he hasn't asked.
No, I've asked. I just haven't got the confirmation. The secretary hasn't got back to me yet.
Okay. On the docket for tonight's agenda, we had planned on talking about ceremonies, blue and gold, arrow of light, crossovers, courts of honors. We can spend some time on this. I do have a couple of things to touch on. I don't want to spend a lot of time on these things because we also want to talk about camps. We have some people here to help us talk about camps, and I want to give them time. And then, if it's okay with you guys, I'm sure each of you have issues or things that you're dealing with inside of your own troops, I'd like to have some time for open forum and try to get through that. And then towards the end, I want to talk about Roundtable and what information I can gather to try to help make Roundtables what you want them to be. We'll try to get as much value there as we can. So, I think first off, we'll start off with ceremonies. How many Cubbies do we have in the Cub Scout leaders? Okay, good. Blue and Golds are coming up here next month. How's that going?
Good.
When did you guys start planning? Who takes care of the planning for that inside of the units?
Committee kind of took control of the whole thing, kind of decided what we wanted to do, and then somebody stepped forward and kind of, they're going to decorate stuff. And we actually got a magician coming from Lincoln
Oh, that's
for it, so it's going to be a magic theme, so.
okay. So, I mean, it's kind of a themed ceremony?
Yep.
Because there are, I mean, there's different ways to look at it. You can have serious ceremonies, you can have just kind of fun games, activities, and you can also do themed, which themed are neat, but they're hard to make them work sometimes, I think. So that's cool that you're doing that.
The last year we did a racing theme, and there's a guy in Elm Creek, he's got a Hot Wheels racing track. It's probably 20, 30 feet long. And we had some guys bring some drag cars and stuff, and it was really neat.
That's
So this year we're doing something special. It's kind of our special, where we spend a little bit extra money and do something special for the boys, celebrating Cub Scout's birthday.
Yeah, exactly. Now you said the committee plans it. Do you have a special committee, or is it just the
Yes and no.
PAC committee?
The PAC committee, pretty much we talk about it and get ideas, and somebody gradually runs with it. So.
But it's not a specified group of people.
Right. I mean, we don't have enough people.
Well, that's cool. How about other groups?
We do a formal, I think, award ceremony in the church, and then we do all our award presentations, crossovers, and then afterwards we do an ice cream social. We do that in the gym. Each den provides an activity, some kind of carnival style game, and then of course we do one of the popcorn initiatives is if you fill a sheet, you get your facing pie, and then we sell extra pies, and so I sit in the chair for about half an hour and get shaving cream pies in the face. So, I mean, it's just a lot of things.
Whipped cream tastes better.
I know, but it also is milk products, and after a while.
Oh,
it's
that's right.
nasty. So shaving cream, I just smell like mint for a while. But so that's one of the things we do, and then like the big carnival games. And we've been having a hard time getting people to come to our Blue and Gold because crossover and everything else takes a little while. So we're trying to figure out, well, how do we make it exciting for everybody, and not just for the Weedle or Twos, and then of course cake auctions and whatever we can do. So we're trying to do a lot of things. So we start talking about it. Even last month, we were working on it. We'll talk about it again on Monday nights, our committee meeting. We'll kind of get the last bit of details, and then we'll be ready to go.
So what type of awards? I don't mean, what unit are you in? 135. And are you involved with the planning or
Just the whole committee.
the whole committee is?
And we do a formal, and we actually do a potluck lunch after, or supper. We do it on Saturday or Sunday afternoon.
Okay. Very cool.
And it does get boring for the younger kids.
It does. I've in the past I was a Cub master for 5 years, and you know, being in that role and then being a Scout master and seeing both sides of that Blue and Golds with an arrow of light and a crossover, that's a lot to ask a Tiger Cub and his younger siblings to sit through. So yeah, there's definitely challenges there. And I hope to hit on those and try to share some ideas on what other units have done. So, and one of the biggest reasons, eventually I want to get to where we can break out and separate Cub Scouts from Boy Scouts when we start talking about topics, because a lot of topics are so different. I think there'd be more value in having separate roundtable rooms for breakouts and different topics there. But I think that a lot of these topics have enough similarities that I don't know if we would have broke out for these today or not, if we had the group to do it anyways. So, Boy Scout leaders, I mean, you worked up through the ranks with your kids. What have you seen in course of honor that would help with the length of time that the board used.
Well, let's go back to the blue and gold for a second. Let's talk about FOS with the blue and gold banquet. Those of you who have done blue and golds before, the FOS comes and wants to be part of the blue and gold and give the presentation for Friends of Scouting. That's what FOS stands for. So, Scouting loves acronyms, and so I love to throw it out too. FOS is another one. Friends of Scouting campaign is often presented with the blue and gold banquet. But as you alluded to, by the time you get to below zero light in the blue and gold, particularly if you have a banquet ahead of time, the tiger cubs are running around and ready to go home. And you throw in one pack and cake auction and whatever other fundraising you have as part of that, all of a sudden you've got a 3.5 hour event going on, and the tiger cubs will be part of that. So I would think about a way to move Friends of Scouting campaign out of the blue and gold if you can. And one of the things we've done in the troop is to put together a separate committee that's going to look at working on the Friends of Scouting campaign over a 2 to 3 month period, and not have the district and Eric, and he does not mind, because Eric is happy not to come to the trip and do the presentation because he hates it. Have us do that internally outside of the blue and gold banquet and save that time. And what we're planning on doing is having 2 or 3 Eagle Scouts come back and present what scouting did for them, and you could do that in a pack as well, have a couple of Cub Scouts come back and talk for a few minutes about what scouting's meant to them in their life as part of that Friends of Scouting campaign, and completely get rid of Eric coming in with whatever video show he has and whatever, and make that, like I said, a couple of month campaign and try to get that out of your blue and gold presentation.
We actually have them come to the January pack meeting before
Yeah.
Blue and Gold. That way, because a lot of times they get to blue and gold and people have no clue. You know? I basically tell them you have 15 minutes, ready, go.
Right.
You know, and so they get 15 minutes. But I let them come to the pack meeting beforehand. That way parents get kind of warned that, hey, we're going to come to this meeting. We're going to talk about this. Here's the forms in advance. You know, this is the importance of it. So we can spend some time at the pack meeting where it's not as jam-packed as our blue and gold is. And then they come again at blue and gold, and it's just a quick 15-minute show. And they already know, because I didn't even know, honestly, first 2 years what FOS was.
Right.
You know, because as a leader, I'm leading. I'm not even listening to the presenters. I'm trying to get what I need to get done.
And I think for the last 2 years, we've lost the importance of parents understanding what FOS, the benefit of that for the trooper is. People have lost that, and so they didn't contribute this last year. That's one of the things that we looked at. They didn't understand exactly what Friends of Scouting meant toward our unit, what you got directly back. And so I think it would be valuable this year to do that internally. And it means a lot more for our own people to ask for the funds than having Eric or a district or a council person come and give a presentation. So I think that would be much better.
And then you're looking at this from a Boy Scouts perspective?
Either one.
Do you feel that there are any challenges with hitting FOS goals, not having grandparents and aunt and uncles and stuff there?
Not for us.
Because
Not for us. I don't know about a
not
Cub
to
Scout,
play
Cub
devil's,
Scout unit. I don't know
yeah.
about a Cub Scout unit, but not for us as a troop.
to play the devil's advocate
Yeah.
a little bit, blue and golds, that's, I mean, a troop has 4 courts of honor a year, hopefully. A pack has 8 blue and gold a year. That means you have 8 opportunity to get, you know, donations from grandparents and stuff. I mean, and the kids definitely can go ask themselves, and that is a more personal thing than Eric doing his thing and then passing out the sheets. So that's me used to.
No, and Eric doesn't like doing it, and it comes across wrong.
And he really shouldn't be doing it. We're a
That's right.
volunteer organization.
We're the ones that should
We
be
need to
doing
be running it ourselves, and they're just kind of guiding us, so Eric shouldn't be doing it.
And I know that there have been people like Doug Kramer in the past that's volunteered to do Friends of Sky presentations.
But still, that's an outside person.
Yeah, it's a stranger.
I think, what we're talking about is having a 3-way presentation. One is going to be the youth discussing what scouting meant to them. We've got 2 or 3 Eagle Scouts already lined up to come back and talk. The second part of that is troop vision. where's the troop heading? And that's gonna be either myself or Jeff Pawlowski giving that particular talk. And then the third part is the person that stands up and asks for the money. And we have somebody that's good at fundraising from the UK, who's gonna stand up and ask for the money. So it'll be a three-way deal, and we've talked about not only doing it more like the United Way, even putting up a thermometer on the wall, starting 2 months in advance. And this is where we're at, and this is the goal. And if you reach a certain level, this is where we are. Those kind of things. So I think doing it internally is going to be a whole lot more than Eric showing up for 15 minutes, showing a slideshow, and trying to get the things rolled out.
We sold the percentage, the whole, if you get the gold star, you get the percentage.
Right.
And a lot of parents saw the benefit of that.
Right.
They saw, oh my gosh, so I get off my uniform, I get, yep, because we made gold star. You know, and we've talked about it a couple times. So after we reached gold star, and we may not have met it, we had a couple families that donated larger amounts, and so that's when we met it. But we really sold the percentages. We told people, oh, hey, you're getting a discount on your uniform, you're getting a discount on this, we're saving money on the packs. Every time we save money, we tell the families that's because we reached our FOS. So we are talking about it more often during the year. That way they know the reason you're getting that discount is because people gave to that and it really helped out. And then we also talk about where the money goes. And so we kind of do that. But we only make that one hard presentation. And then we kind of, until we set that goal, we try to reach it. So.
For those of you who don't know who I am, by the way, and maybe we should have introduced each other. My name is Mike Lawson. I'm the committee chair for Troop 158 here in Kearney. I'm also a lodge advisor for the OA Lodge, which a couple of boys did the Pledge of Allegiance for me. I think, though, the bottom line with Friends of Scouting is that we need to take it out of Eric's hands, is the bottom line. Eric doesn't like doing it, and it shows, bless his heart, when he stands in front of a group, and whatever you can do in your unit to take it away from having Eric come talk is going to be beneficial toward raising funds. And I guess that's the part.
And as far as if you still had to do it inside of a real goal,
Whatever
court
it
of
is.
honor,
Whatever
now
it
it went from a 15-minute thing to what you felt you need to put into it to hit your goal. So, and that is a challenge. The other challenges that you brought up was the length of time between, you know, the crossovers, the arrow of light ceremonies, that kind of thing, and the younger kids. You know, the ceremonies, from my perspective, I've seen a lot of really long, drawn-out, boring ceremonies that were hard for me to sit and watch. And I had some kids that I had things invested into. I wanted to see them go through the ceremony. It was just like, but I've seen some that were just outstanding, and they had everybody in the room really just to the ceremony. It doesn't take a whole lot of, I mean, you don't have to have fireworks. You don't have to have anything outstanding to really start drawing in and making that feeling to where, you know, maybe there's something special going on during this ceremony. I've asked Tyson Coble, and he said he'd be running late. I was hoping he'd be here by now. He'll be here shortly to talk about the Order of the Arrow and helping with their own life ceremonies. And that's,
What do you want?
have at it.
They just said, how does it so?
Yeah, but from my perspective, I've seen these guys, they'll come in full dress and they've got a true ceremony for the Arrow of Light. And there's different things going on in different parts of the room. The kids, they're speaking, they're pulling kids and families up. I mean, it's neat. And every Tiger Cub will just be like, because they're dressed in full Native American garb. And so it's kind of neat for them to see that. And then second, they have a well-organized ceremony. It doesn't look like somebody's standing up there reading out the sheet, usually.
But anyway, for those of you who don't know, the Order of the Arrow is Scouting's National Honor Society. These are scouts who have been elected into a special group of individuals. And once your kids get into scouting, you'll go through that. But, the Order of the Arrow is based upon Indian lore as one of its backgrounds. And so, regalia and headdresses and those ceremonies are part of our heritage and what we do. The chapter here would be tickled to death to help you with Arrow of Light ceremonies. We would prefer to do just an Arrow of Light presentation and award to your kids in the pack, and let the crossover part be directed by the troops that they are joining. So we can talk about presenting the Arrow of Light. What we have is about a 10-minute ceremony that includes 4 kids in regalia with headdresses, etc., that present the Arrow of Light to your youth in the pack. People think it's kind of strange, but the Order is a youth-led organization, so if you would like to have an Arrow of Light ceremony, my son is actually the chapter chief for this chapter and district, so I ask that you contact him directly. It doesn't have to go through me, it doesn't have to go through Tyson, it doesn't have to go through anybody else. And sometimes adults think that I'm out of my mind. But that's the way it works. Chris Lawson. And his phone number to his cell phone is 224-5658.
Really?
And one of the things they're talking about right now in the OA chapter meeting is ceremony teams, Arrow of Light, collection teams, those kind of things. So if you want an Arrow of Light ceremony for your pack, give him a call. What we do is we'll come in about 30-45 minutes ahead of time and kind of set up. And then at the end of your program, whenever you want, we'll do the ceremony. Like I said, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes for the whole thing. A few people in here have seen it. I think Dana and Levi have.
One of the questions I have with Blue and Gold still, like we talked about, there's a lot of things happening. We're crossing over 11 boys this year. Half are going to 158, the other half are going to 136. Well, you guys know that or not, it's going to happen that way. I'm not the den leader. I'm not the den leader. I'm not responsible for them contacting people, but they will be contacting you guys to make that Scout National Conference 28. So Joe Solomon and Aaron will be contacting you. Anyways, the problem that I'm concerned about is one, when we crossed over a couple years ago, the crossover ceremony took a half an hour or whatever else, and I mean, I got shot myself. I couldn't take it. It was so, I mean, it's just so long. And I think like a 10-year-old does it, so I'm going crazy. And so if with 2 different troops doing this, I want to make sure that it's, so that's one of my concerns is I can make my other part go really fast. My question is, what is the best way to work with the troops as we do these, especially multi-troops, when we're doing 2 different troops for my boys?
We've actually done several crossovers we've had 3 troops do a crossover together at one point in time. The key is communication. That means that your den leaders need to be in contact with the scoutmasters that their boys will be crossing over into the troops, and giving them the days and the time as far out as you can. As soon as the decision's made, get a hold of the scoutmasters, let them know when the time is, and that we also have boys going to this unit and this unit. Because that crossover ceremony is not the Cub Scout Pack's responsibility, it's the Boy Scouts' responsibility to put that together. And if they know that and you say you have about 15 minutes, they need to know that too.
Yeah, and that's where we're at. Like we just decided, I think last week, and I know they're going to be contacting, they're supposed to, I'll follow up tonight actually, but they're supposed to contact you, obviously they haven't, but I know it works both ways, so I ain't worried about it anyway, but it's just, we got to get those. I mean, that's my big concern is going, wow, because that year we crossed over, it was like 12 boys, and it took a long time, and that's where I think after that, the next year we had only half our families come because we spent so much time in the sanctuary doing our awards and stuff, and so we really want to make sure that we're like I said, that's I think important for people to know is that when we work with you guys, making sure you guys do what you guys need to be successful for us.
One of the suggestions I actually wrote down to make that started helping and trying to encourage at Blue and Golds is, it seems like we go in order of age. The very first ones we give out seem to be tigers, not always, but a lot of times seem to be tigers, and then they work up to the Arrow of Light, and then right away they cross over. So the last half, the young kids got their stuff, they're ready to go. They want ice cream, they want to go home. And what I've seen, and it works really, really well, is if you can do the Arrow of Light towards the beginning, and then
That's our plan.
to split those up if you have to do the Arrow of Light at the Court of Honor. And one of the things to think about, that Arrow of Light, for all purposes, is that Cub Scouts Eagle Award. I mean, that's the highest rank that they can get. You know, there should be some special about that. There's a lot of good resources for Arrow of Light ceremonies if you want to do one side of your unit. You don't even have to, I mean, the OA gives a good option. Another one is the Boy Scout troop that maybe they're crossing over to, or thinking about crossing over to. Contact them, see if they've got some older boys who'd be willing to do an Arrow of Light ceremony. We've done several for different units, not even in the Army. We've gone to Shelton and done Arrow of Light ceremonies. And there's, I mean, I can think of a handful of names of the ones that the path is fully lit. There is, I mean, go to maxscouter.org, Arrow of Light ceremonies. There's a ton of them online. And there's a lot of resources there, but that should be something special. The only thing that I wanted to mention about crossovers is for a lot of those Cub Scouts, this is the only exposure they'll get to Boy Scouts that year. It's going to be, they're going to be looking at these scouts that are 16, 15 years old, and 15 times their size, and encourage your boys to say hi to those Cub Scouts. Talk to them a little bit. That can be a tremendous thing. That first contact, I guess, if you will, from a Cub Scout to a Boy Scout can be a pretty influential thing as if that young kid wants to go into Boy Scout or not. So sometimes it's hard for those 14, 15-year-olds to take a moment and say hi and get their pant leg tugged on and hear about what the kid had for breakfast, but that's what little kids do. So really, hopefully, most of your Blue and Golds, Arrow of Light stuff is, the planning is well underway, because that's next month. And if you have questions, there's a lot of people here, we can kind of grab them out the meeting and ask them if they have any ideas for some contact information, or if they have a ceremony idea. And then also, I would suggest if you want the OA to do a ceremony, an Arrow of Light ceremony of some kind. The sooner they know, the better. I would think. Your schedule's filled up in the past.
You know, yeah, we usually, sometimes even have two packs on the same Sunday, want to do stuff, so, yeah, sooner rather than later.
Is Chris here?
Yeah, he's always there, we'll check the meetings.
I'll try to grab to Mike then. So we can come over and grab it.
Okay. Crossovers, encourage your UBLOS leaders to hold with prospective scoutmasters as soon as possible, so those guys have some time to prepare. One of the things that, how many of your boys will be getting, the Cub Scout, will be getting the rank advancements out of Blue and Gold?
We're actually changing how we do it this year. We haven't, then we can do it as a finish. Again, we found that Blue and Gold tend is significantly low. And so we think we're going to try to do as many as we can at Blue and Gold this year. I know it's not really what now we're supposed to be doing it now, but I think we're going to try it this year and see if it helps our attendance. That way, like you said, everybody's getting an award. Otherwise, we're handing out belt loops, and I don't want to necessarily do that. I want to give rank awards specifically. So that's one of the areas that I think we're going to look at is, like you said, starting with Light, and then going all the way down to Tiger, and then going to crossover. So I mean, we're going to try to do this year. I think a few of my vendors still aren't sure if they want to do it or not. They're going to be ready. But we're gonna try it.
So we always try, we were always told to have our boys, everybody advance at green gold, and I think that's putting too much pressure on the leaders, trying to cram too much in there. I tell them anymore, when they earn it, we'll do their advancement as a passion.
I think it's important, you know, because not everybody's going to get that at that point in time, because it just depends on each board. You know, some get the last final things done, sometimes they don't. I think that as your committee, when you do your calendar, and you're planning your calendar, you know, keep that in mind. What needs to happen during those den meetings to make that, because it is possible to do that, but it is a challenge. And, but I think it's important, even if the kid doesn't get the rank advancement, you still pull them up, you still recognize them for their efforts, and have some type of a certificate of achievement or something that you can make up and give to them just so that they could get that public recognition. I mean, you want that instant recognition, especially at Cub Scout age. I want to shift gears a little bit and go into camping. If we have some time here towards the end, we can go back if there's any specific questions on any of the ceremony stuff, but hopefully that stuff's well underway. So, for summer camps, I invited Johnny Mill to come talk to us. Please introduce yourself, and that's great.
I'm Johnny Neal, I'm the Scoutmaster for Troop 158. I'm also the camp director for a camp I was doing this summer. There's been quite a few changes to summer camp. Some of you may have received this in the mail, which is the leader's guide for this year. I don't know if it was sent out to everybody, but I know that the committee chairs and the Scoutmasters should have received this in the mail. One of the biggest changes to the program this year is the length of camp. It's actually going to end on Friday instead of on Saturday like it has in the past. And there's a couple of reasons. Usually what happens in the summer camp is on Friday, a lot of troops will leave anyway to get a jump start on it. And so there's very few people that are still in camp on Saturday when it's time to check out in the morning. So they decided to switch it to, so that the checkout is at 2 o'clock, starting at 2 o'clock on Friday. Units can still stay till Saturday, but there won't be any of the amenities like the dining hall won't be open for queues and stuff like that on Friday evening's meal and Saturday morning's breakfast. One of the other things that's changing, we have a few new merit badges that are being added. Let's see what they are here. Can't remember them offhand. They're gonna offer the chest merit badge, the disabilities awareness, welding, plumbing, search and rescue, kayaking, crime prevention, fingerprinting, home repairs, and painting. Those are, and as well as the other merit badges that they offered in the past. There's a list of probably about, looks to be about 50 or so. I don't know the number right offhand, but there's a lot of opportunities for the Boy Scouts at summer camp. We're also going to try to put an emphasis on the Cub Scout and Webelos camps, the resident camps there. We want it to be exciting and fun. We're going to do a themed camp for the Cub Scouts and Webelos, which will be pirate training. And that's what the BSA wants you to do for the Cub Scouts and Webelos. They want themed camps, and they have kind of a calendar. And we're going to take one of their themes that they have, and we're going to just make it more exciting and fun for them. You know, I'm pretty exciting guy when I'm out at camp, so you know it's hard to believe here, but when I get around the kids, I'm a lot more excited than I am here. So it'll be a good time for them. We're really excited about the program. We're still looking for staff, so if you have Scouts that are 14 years old or older, they can be CITs, and once they turn 15, they can be paid staff members out there. So it's a great opportunity for those Scouts in your troop that are 15 or older. And if you know anybody that's 21 that has a good scouting background and wants to be a co-director or climbing director or aquatics director, those type of positions, those are available, but they have to be 21 years old to do them. And now I'm just going to open it up to questions because I think that's a better way to addressing your concerns, because they may be different than what I think they are. Yeah.
Is that a release online yet? It wasn't the other day.
No, it's not, and I don't know what the holdup is. I'll get with Dave and find out what they've had it for a little bit, you know. So I don't know what the.
But that's just the Boy Scout camp one, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still I'm working on the Cub Scout one now.
That's my second question, when those are gonna be released.
I should be done with it probably within a week. I still need to get a hold of Heather because it's gonna incorporate the Weeblos, the Cub Scout, and then the Fun with Sun program.
Are
And
we
that'll,
doing a week on with them?
yeah, there'll be 2 weekends of Fun with Sun during June. And it'll be after the first weekend, or the first week of Boy Scout camp, and then after the third week of Boy Scout camp, during those weekends, that Saturday. But I don't know, I'll probably have it, I'm gonna say within a week to Dave to proof and, approve it, and then once he approves it, then it'll be up to them to distribute it.
Are we changing the Fun with Sun format? Because that's gonna be part of your staff's kind of responsibility with the mix-up. We talked about last time, maybe a big mix of volunteers.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, get a mix of volunteers. That's why I'm working with Heather to see what we can do to make that happen. And it'll be, a lot of the camp staff will be involved with it. Where last year, if you went out to Fun with Sun, there was limited camp staff that were involved. In fact, I don't think there was really anybody, maybe Ed or Kim. So there wasn't anybody. So it was a completely different from camp. And now we're just trying to incorporate the knowledge of the staff and having the youth lead it so that the young Cub Scouts can see the other youth leading things, and it just helps them get more acclimated into the scouting program.
Now you say you're still looking for staff.
Yes.
Do they have to be there all the time, or can they leave if they got something going on, like football camps or whatnot?
It really depends on how long, if they're gonna be missing like 3 days a week, then it probably wouldn't be
Right.
appropriate. But there's a group of staff that are gonna be there for the Boy Scout camp, and then maybe 1 week of Cub Scout camp, and then they're going off to Jamboree. So there's, it's doable. If they have something coming up in July, towards the end of July or something for a camp, or they want to go out with their troop, their troops doing their trip. I know Matt Sykes was on the aquatic staff last year, and he went on his troops camp out, and that, he still was able to be on staff. So those things are, as long as it's not the majority of the time.
Right.
It would be difficult for him to be really part of the team if he was there for 2 days a week and wasn't really involved. So.
And Matt had enough to last being on staff. He was actually talked about it going back. Did he ever call you?
No, he hasn't called me yet, but he did talk to me on Facebook.
He's been talking about going back since he came home. So he had a really good time. He's eager to go back. To be on staff. Talks with
So thanks. That's good. Are there any other questions? Because camp is really going to be fun. I'm going to make it as fun as that's what scouting is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a fun time, and I want the staff to have fun because I want them to make it so it's exciting for your youth. If the staff isn't really enjoying themselves, then the program's going to suffer, and we don't want that. We want them to be enthusiastic about it and just make it so that everybody wants to come back to Camp Augustine. Yes, ma'am.
I'm pretty new, but I've been helping Josh do some merit badge, first aid and that sort of thing in 136. But I guess I'm asking, do you have scouts teaching the merit badges, or what kind of control do you have? Because I've heard some of the scouts themselves say they earned, like the fishing merit badge, for instance, never had a fishing pole in the water, never caught a fish, never cooked a fish, never did, whatever. And I've had parents have their kids go back through first aid because they felt like their kids didn't really learn at camp. And so I'm just wondering what kind of a safety factor do you have there to?
Most of the merit badges will be taught by other scouts that are youth on staff. But my intent is to make sure that the program is quality. I don't want a scout to go out there and not be able to teach the skills that he's teaching. I want him to, they'll be spot checked to make sure. In fact, during staff week, we'll actually go through the material as if I'm a scout, so that way I know what they're going to be teaching, and then we'll continuously monitor them. What happens? I don't know about the program all the way in the past. I was in aquatics last year, so I didn't get to see much of the other program areas. But I know in our program, I tried to make it so that whoever was teaching the class was qualified to be able to do that. And I've gone to camps at other camps, and like I can say San Isabel last year, the merit badge instructors were terrible. I was like, it's pretty bad when the scouts come up to you and say, I probably shouldn't get credit for this merit badge because I didn't do anything for it, and their blue card is signed off. And that's what I don't want Camp Augustine to be. I don't want it to be just a gimme, you show up and you get the merit badge. I want you to learn the skill, and I want you to be qualified to be able to do that. So when you're 16, if you're supposed to know how to tie a fly when you're doing fly fishing, you actually know how to do it, you know? So that's my intent, and the only way I can do that is through quality staff and being able to get out there and motivate those young men to be able to put a good quality program. That's a good question. That's a very good question.
I don't have a question, maybe, but maybe you can, I guess it's kind of a question. Anyway, from what I understand for Boy Scout camp, you will be able to register for all the merit badges you want online and pay online, so that, for example, if you're taking basketry, rather than getting to camp and then saying, oh, I need $5 for the basket, it's just all included. Is that the way it's going to work, from what I understand?
That is the intent, is to get it so that you register for each merit badge online. And so, like, if you need a merit badge kit for, say, leather work, which is $3, when you go to register that scout and that merit badge, that'll be added to his fee. So that way you don't have to send the scout with $30 and then he spends it all on the trading post on candy and whatever he buys out of the trading post. The next thing you know, he doesn't have the materials to cover his merit badge. That way the parents or whoever's registering the scouts knows that he has all the equipment that he's going to need for his merit badges when he gets there.
And then that'll also allow your staff to do a little control in terms of, you know, rather than suddenly getting to camp and all of a sudden having 30 kids taking one merit badge and you weren't thinking maybe 5, you know, then you can set those limits online and know where you're at, how much staff you're going to need.
And some merit badges will have higher limits depending on the, you know, the complication of the skill that they're learning and then the ability of the staff that are going to be teaching it. You know, some things like welding probably wouldn't be a good idea to have 30 people in the welding class, maybe a smaller group, so that Ed, who's going to be teaching that, could really teach them and they could actually learn the skills. But then there's other skills where 30 people is probably appropriate. If, you know, you're all making leather fobs or something, 30 people would be okay for something to be able to manage.
Will that also apply to Weeblos camp? Because I don't know, I'm just asking.
I am not sure how we're doing the registration for Weeblos camp and Cub Scout camp yet. I'm still working on the program guide for both of those camps so that the leaders have those. And I want to get them done before the 1st of February.
I really like the lineup method for Weeblos camp. I mean, I've been very impressed with Weeblos camp both years we've taken it.
Where they line up out
They
there.
line up out there, you just have to know. I mean, we sat down with the boys, we said, okay, here's what you need to get done. You know, some of you guys are coming back next year. So I like the lineup method. So, I mean, that might have been confusing for us, maybe even right now for us, for my first year legal year, maybe trying to know exactly what they need. It worked well for us, so.
I think for that program, especially the Weeblos, the lineup method works great because, you know, they get out there and they see the posters that the scouts are holding and they pick which task they need to go to. And that might change depending on the weather, you know, so if you pre-register for climbing and it's raining, you might have to change. But one of the things we're going to do, though, is we're going to have a better program of monitoring what the Weeblos actually accomplish out there so that the leaders don't, you know, did he finish the bug loop or the aquanaut or whatever? Last year I know there wasn't any recording on the camps part side to give to the leaders saying these are what your Weeblos accomplished. And we want to be able to do that.
What they still have to do, that was a big question too. When you get home, you still got to do these pieces because there were other pieces.
Yeah, what you'll get is basically a sheet that says they met these requirements and it'll be by troop. It's kind of, I don't know if you've been out there for the Boy Scout camp, but what they do is each person from every troop has the merit badge on the top, and then it's listed by troop by name, and then they have what they accomplished, and each leader gets that at the end of their session, so they know if they completed the merit badge or what they need to work on still.
Will the swim checks, if we do swim checks locally before camp, that's the reason I ask is because it seems there's many times confusion. I'd love to get this straight.
That is, by BSA, that is up to the aquatics director. That's one of the few powers that they actually have. And not to be on a power trip, but I think it's important that that the aquatics director has the swim checks conducted at camp So the lifeguards or whoever's gonna be instructing actually sees the strength of the swimmer that's gonna be in the pool. Because everybody's different, and there might be a written standard, but your interpretation of that standard is different. So if someone says that you're a red swimmer, and, you know, they liked you a lot, and you really, you know, you struggled, you could barely make that, when there could be somebody that's a stronger red swimmer, and I want those actual lifeguards to know
Which is
which, you know. And that way we have one standard throughout the whole camp instead of whoever did your swim check standard.
Let me point out though, if your troop wants to do the swim checks like at UNK, that's valuable for you as a scoutmaster on whatever outings athletic-wise you have for the rest of the year. Because you've done those swim checks. If you go whitewater rafting, if you go canoeing, you know what each of your scouts has done, irregardless if they go to Augustine and have to redo it, if they go to BDSR, if they go wherever and have to redo it, that's a whole nother layer. But if you have the swim checks for your kids done for the year, then you're done as a group.
But you'll still
Whatever
have
else
to
you do, yeah. you'll say
I know that in the last few years, we've done those swim checks, and then inevitably, somebody's not happy because they have to do it again. It's like, really?
Yeah, especially when they get to the pool.
You go out of state, you go anywhere else,
You have to do them again
you have to do them again anyway, so
And I
that's.
think the pre-test you guys are doing makes it more efficient in camp anyways. I know if I'm gonna do
Well, they know
swim
what they're gonna do, yeah.
so boom, I just get in and do it. Plus, we
Yeah,
should practice before we get to camp anyways. And, I mean, I'm a pool person, so I completely agree. They can do it at the pool again, 'cause I wanna see the swimmers.
Yeah, that's why they taught us in aquatic school, but, you know, just have them do it even if they bring it. You know,
Well,
now,
at that camp, you're liable for them.
and the worst thing that would happen is death. I mean, that's why we do it. If you have somebody, a 15-year-old kid that's a lifeguard, you know, a 15-year-old kid, if he's just going off you saying that you have a white or red band, I don't know. But if he's actually seen him swim, he might actually pay a little bit more attention, you know?
Yeah.
Not that, if they're a lifeguard, they should be paying attention anyway, but I'd much rather them really know, you know?
No, that kid definitely doesn't need to be over here.
We're still doing first year program, right?
Yes.
I'm very excited. I mean, like I said, my boys crossing over this year, so I'm very excited about that.
I think Camp Augustine is a great first year program. It's a great camp for first years and merit badges. It really basically is a merit badge camp. There's not much high adventure, you know, so you do have the coat course, which I encourage all those 13 or older to come out and do, because that's a pretty good, fun experience. But for the most part, if we focus on the first year merit badge program, then we'll have quality instruction and people will want to come out at least for that, and they'll get more attendance out there.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. I don't want to plug other councils, but there are other options for Boy Scouts. I mean, and there are many good camps out there. Many points, BDSR, medicine, a lot of troops have drawn to different places. One of the things to keep in mind is registration for many of these camps goes up fast. And if you're just now getting to the boys making that decision where they want to go, you may be starting to get limited as to where you can go in the time frame that you would like to go. So when does registration open for, obviously?
I haven't talked to them. It should have really been done.
We'll see, but we'll get it going soon, and hopefully it'll be more heavy, right?
One of the other things I wanted to talk about Cub Scouts and camping. Obviously, there's a lot of great options in Augustine, and that's a great place for Cub Scouts to go. It really is. They've got some great programs there. But as far as unit camping, how many of your Cub Scout packs camp as a unit? Where do you go? What do you do? Is it den specific?
We actually stopped doing, we tried for a while, Cotton on, we just couldn't get the attendance, and then we do a night hike. We go out to Cotton on in late September and wait till it's dark, we do a campfire program, and then we go out and hike the Father Prairie, go down the bowl, and then we don't, and then we just want to get
Do you guys have at least one activity a month you have to summer?
Last year wasn't very good.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to do that. What we had done is we actually had one person that was in charge of summertime activities. Worked with the committee on planning what they would be and recruiting a few volunteers. We actually took our Cub Scout pack to Halsey camp for a weekend. So, and
What was that?
that's
You did one.
and but with the way we did that also, it was a fat family camp. And everybody had their own parents with them. And so it was a unit activity, but it was a family activity. We had siblings, and it was a great way to build some camaraderie inside of the unit. So. I did ask Dr. Bowery if he would talk a little bit about Supply Adventure and some national jamboree stuff.
But we'll keep this pretty brief, so we've got a lot of Cub Scouts here, but besides summer camps, there are actually additional camps for your older scouts called High Adventure. And these camps tend to be a little bit more strenuous, maybe a little bit longer time frame, but there can be some age restrictions also depending on whether it's a national camp or a council camp, or even within the troop you can kind of set restrictions. Some of the national High Adventure camps, there's 3 right now, and that's Philmont, Northern Tier, and Sea Base. Philmont is a backpacking trek, about 10 days or so, hiking in the southern Rockies in northern New Mexico. And there is a number of treks that a crew can take on that. And you can have very strenuous ones where you get a lot of miles in, or just some that are a little bit more, less miles and a little bit more fun for the scouts, depending on their ability and their what they want to do. The age restriction for that is 14. There is the Sea Base is a sailing type theme down in the Keys in Florida, great place to go, where the scouts can do snorkeling. They can actually get certified for scuba down there. There is a liveaboard scuba boat, and then boats that they can actually live on. There's actually a base in the Bahamas that they can go to, so they actually leave the country, have to get back in with passports and everything like that. The age restriction on that, I think, is 13 for that one. But again, a troop or a unit can determine whether they want to have 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, first class, not first class, whatever they want to do. That's kind of some of the restrictions you can kind of play with, and put that out there as a carrot for the scouts, is for something that they can look forward to as they stay with the troop. The last one is Northern Tier, and that's up in Ely, Minnesota. The main base is up there, and that's a canoeing adventure on the Boundary Waters. There's actually a couple other, you might say, sub-bases connected with that, actually up in Canada. One at Atikokan and then one at Bissett up in Canada. Again, you have to have passports and all that for getting out of the country, getting back in, and so forth. And the age restriction for that is about 13 or so by the end of the year. So they could actually be 12 and on that. But and that one you can do. Oh man, I'm losing my voice. Do for about 6 to, I think, up to 12 days or so. There's quite a variation in that one. Councils also offer high adventures, and so you might want to look at that. It's kind of a preliminary type high adventure before you go to maybe one of these national ones where there's quite a long waiting list to actually apply for those a year ahead of time before you want to go. For Philmont, you almost have to go with a council contingent. It's very tough for an individual unit to get into Philmont anymore. But some of the councils around the area will offer high adventure kind of mini Philmont type backpacking type treks, particularly in Colorado and that sort of thing. If you head the other way, I'm sure some of the camps up in Minnesota or Wisconsin and that sort of thing would offer some of the canoeing type adventures if you want to do that. Also the Jamboree is coming up. I'm switching gears a little bit. The Jamboree is an event that happens every 4 years for Boy Scouts. It is a group of about 70,000 scouts getting together for about 10 days. They've just recently, or for the first time this summer, they will meet in their brand new land in South Carolina.
West Virginia.
West Virginia. I always get those mixed up. No, one of the directions I always get that mixed up. That's right. West Virginia. And so the Scouts have bought about 10,000 acres in West Virginia. It's right next
Donated. The Scouts didn't buy it.
That's true, it was donated, they were donated by like $2,000. It's right next to a 70,000 acre national water area. And so we've got access to that. There's some very good relationships going on with that, with the Scouts. It'll be very exciting for that. That'll actually become, after the Jamboree, the 4th national high adventure base for that. And they've got great whitewater rafting, super rock climbing, mountain biking. I guess one of the best courses in the U.S. is being built at the Jamboree. It's about a mile long. What? It's done? Oh, very good.
We did it in 2011.
And about a mile long zip line, I believe, something like that.
Quarter mile.
Quarter
It's one of the
mile.
longest ones.
It's one of the longest ones. So we've really put a lot of effort into developing this land, and it will be a super resource for troops and scouts. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, speaking of high adventure, I will be teaching, well, Dave Scoggins, Jenny Anderson from Blue Hill, and I will be teaching wilderness first aid. By the way, that's Tyson Cole.
Yeah,
I'm Tyson. For anybody that doesn't know, from Mason. He's the guy that's late. Yeah, I'm the late guy. We will be teaching wilderness first aid March 9th and 10th. We'll be at Nebraska Youth Camp just out of town here. I just got that confirmed today. It's out of town here. So stuff will be coming out on that shortly. I'll get to working on that now that we've got that. And on, I believe, February 14th, the second Thursday, is going to be a CPR and first aid course, because the wilderness first aid is a Red Cross course, and you have to be CPR certified to take it. So that is at the Scout office. I believe it was the second Thursday, so 14th.
We're gonna do that on Valentine's Day?
Apparently, yes.
You have to attend.
American Heart Association. Yeah.
What's significant about that is that any of these high adventures, or almost I think any camp anymore, you have to have at least one person certified in wilderness first aid.
And it's a 16-hour course, so we'll go Saturday a long day and Sunday a short day.
What's the cost associated?
You would have to ask me that.
It's so important.
$95 is what it will probably end up at. That's what we charged last time.
And that's a bargain.
That is a bargain. I paid, I think my 16-hour course, it was like $125, $150.
I think a BGSR is like $200.
And anyone's eligible to attend that, right? You don't have to be a Boy Scout leader. You can be a Cub Scout leader.
Right, right. I think 14 is the cutoff to get certified, and actually get your Red Cross card. And we really don't want anyone in 14 in the course anyway, because there's some maturity level with that.
Do you do that?
I don't know how I don't know how I became an instructor.
Do you do that every year then?
We're gonna try. We did it 2 years ago. We're doing it now. It just kind of fell through the cracks last year.
Certification is usually just about 2 years.
And the certification is for 2 years, but we're gonna try to do it every year so that we can get people staggered out. We can handle up to about 30 in the course, because we have 3 instructors. Most sponsors have one more. So.
Yeah. Something I wanted to quickly hit on was building Roundtable. You know, I remember
When I first became Cub Master for Pack 28, the very beginning portion of Roundtables, where we had the Cub Scout and the Boy Scout leaders in this same room, it was standing room. I mean, chairs were full, people were standing on the edges and we'd break out. And I learned a tremendous amount of things and got a great amount of advice. Some of it was good too. And so, but as far as, you know, I would really love to see Roundtable build back to that, because we truly, I think in our district, have a tremendous resource in scouting experience. And this is the best way, I think, that we can help each other, share ideas, and kind of like that mentality. I think one of the hardest things when you get a seasoned Boy Scout leader is try to convince them to come back to the Roundtable. It's like, no, I've been there. Okay, what do we teach our youngsters? What do we teach our Boy Scouts about, you know, that responsibility and that lifelong learning? There's some obligation there to pass on that knowledge to
the younger, less experienced scout leaders. And that's how we're gonna make our units stronger as a whole, and that's what's gonna make our district stronger, is the manpower and the training and the camaraderie and the networking, so people know who to ask. One of the things I wanna do is, first thing is a self-assessment, and it's not always easy to just take a long, hard look in the mirror at things you don't like, so it's a lot easier to have other people point out bad things about you. So one of the things I wanted to start off with was a survey. And my goal is to get this survey in every scout leader's hands in the district, and hopefully they send it back, so that I can collect enough information on how we can improve roundtables and make them what you want them to be. There's 2 sheets. If you didn't get 9 questions, holler, I'll get you the second one. So, while you're filling these out, I would like to kind of multitask here, because I don't want to keep you hearing later than absolutely necessary. As far as handouts go, if we were to make handouts with agendas and some announcements, and would that be something that you would want? Would that be one more piece of clutter that you took home? Because it is an added expense. Emails are free, but you still have to read them.
Depends who you are, I guess.
I
To
mean,
me,
is it a
might be
deal
fun.
where maybe we should have some for those who want them? This is our roundtable. What do we want it to be?
If it's gonna save time, I think a lot of times the extra words cause it to go longer than we want. If there's a way to get that to us without having to, actually listen to them all, especially since we're writing down dates and information, I like handouts, I know it's an expense.
Well, my goal would be to, if we were to do a handout, it would have the information like I say we talked about. Let's talk about Weeblo's Woods. This is the date of it, this is the registration, this is the cost, this is the contact person, a couple of lines for your notes, done.
If we add anything to it, that way we don't have to spend 15 minutes going through districts' words.
And obviously we need to keep an eye on what things cost. And there are some expenses that go along with those things. And I don't want to be cutting trees down to make handouts that end up as soaking up melted snow on the somebody's floorboard. They need to be, in my mind, useful. So, and that's something I'm going to continue to ask, because that is something that will be an expense. So we need to keep an eye on what we're spending doing those things. On the survey, there's a. I hope you're taking this serious, Tyson. I'm not gonna worry about you.
Very good at that.
Yeah, I know. Anyway,
Plus, I have a whole different roundtable experience because I reside in a different district and go to a different.
I'm about to say, we've never been there, so.
he's been. Okay. One of the things that I want to do, and based from the information I collect, is focus on what we're going to spend time on during roundtables. What roundtable topics would be? Yes, sir? What roundtable topics would be, and how much time we would allot for each topic. And we could do as simple as having an 8 timer up here, and we could have a discussion on something in the game. Time to switch. If you guys want to continue it, great. If you want to continue the discussion, we can do a vote. But those are the kinds of things I need to know what you would like to see in this roundtable. Because to be honest with you, if there's not enough value in this meeting, if you're not getting enough from it, it's going to be hard to continue to come. So, Also some goals, some of the things that I would like to see happen is I need to recruit a Boy Scout Roundtable Commissioner from the Boy Scout side, and I need to recruit a Cub Scout Commissioner for the Cub Scout side, because I'd like to grow to the point where we definitely need to break out. And the topics that we'll be discussing are different enough, and at some point, I hope to have a crew commissioner, a need for a breakout for the crew side. Heck, why not? Have a goal. So, I'd like to have a calendar as soon as I get some agendas, some ideas for topics. I'd like to come up with some type of a calendar so people know what we're going to be talking about. That also gives me an opportunity to get people lined up with some expertise, because the last thing I want to do is stand up here and talk. It's not my goal. I want to get the people with real knowledge and ability to ask questions. One of the things that we've talked about trying to do, and I know that those of you who traveled to come here today, thank you. We have, Wagon District's a pretty large district. And to get people to come to roundtables in Kearney, that can be a challenge. Especially if, North Platte or you're Broken Bow or Alma and wherever. Not Alma. Shut up. Sorry. Yeah, I know. But traveling like that can be a challenge. So one of the things we're going to try to do is try to do some roundtables digitally. Eric's making a recording of this that I'm sure he'll point out things that I need to improve on, which is good. And but we're going to try to get this out to as many people as we can. We'd also like to do some type of live, basically Skyping for roundtables and try to have satellite roundtables at the same time. And I would like to grow to the point where we do travel to Broken Bow, or we do travel to wherever for a roundtable, and try to make it easier to where they can access this. But we got to crawl before we can run, and so that's where we're starting. So I would like, if you could, take the time to fill those out. Leave them up here before you leave. I don't need to see your names on them. I would prefer you be brutally honest. And this is how we are going to improve, is by getting the information from you guys. What you want. So, I think we'll go ahead and close for those of you who want to. Oh, go ahead, sorry. Yeah.
Last month, I talked about the private adventure within scouting. I have got commitment from Eric to push this out in the monthly newsletter. So the information is here. If you want the information now, I have some copies of this. Basically what it is it's an 811 video, 811. It's designed for kids between 8 and 11. Video 7 minutes long. It's got a little activity you can do inside the DVD case. It shows the map that the department talks about in the video. Draw a poster, have your pack, your den, your patrols. Come up with a poster, submit it back to us as a one-call board, and you can very easily end up with a bench and a tree, and we can walk through the process back. We provide community service back to the community, service hours for the boys that participate. So there's a wide variety of things that would apply. Okay, we sent this same information to 893 schools in the state of Nebraska this year. We've had 30 responses. My commitment back to the board was scouting community to do better with this. This is being pushed across the entire council and also into the Cornhusker Council. Sound doable? Something quiet.
Yeah, doable.
Yeah.
Here, here.
All we need is to make sure we have the poster back by the 15th of February. If you need a DVD, either contact Eric or my email address on in my scouting under the commissioner staff. I will hand deliver you a video.
You did me.
Huh? Use it.
Okay.
And the main purpose behind getting involved in scouting is scouting does so much community service that a lot of them involve digging. It's just another tool to educate our youth on the importance of digging safe. Okay? Enough said.
I have a quick commissioner's minute. I'd like everybody to stand up just like I am. Come on, everybody stand up just like me. Well, you guys aren't standing up, why?
People like you.
I asked you to stand up just like I am, why aren't you doing it? You stand up just like I am right now, why aren't you doing it? Could it be my actions speak louder than my words? As leaders, whether you're a young OA feller, or you've been in scouting for many, many years, your actions speak a whole lot louder to those youth than your words ever will. We're adjourned.